So in this course, I'm going to run through how we analyze your area for success, make sure that any deals that we're looking at, potentially negotiating on, that, you know, ultimately they're going to make profit, because there's no point taking on places that are going to cost us money each month. So we want to make sure that we are sort of hedging our bets, reducing the risk, and quite confident that we can make these properties work, whether it be on a rental basis or whether you're buying as an asset, whatever your exit strategy or rental strategy is going to be. Obviously, we want to make sure that they are going to be successful. So there's a couple of ways that I do it, and I'm sure there's many other ways. You know, there's many other platforms, DNA, etc. Personally, I don't think there's any need for any fancy softwares and systems. I just think you can quite easily get the information you want by, you know, using these strategies, but also, you know, as you get into the game a bit more, you'll get a feel for what works and what doesn't work. You know, also things like DNA, it doesn't factor in, you know, how people dress the properties, you know, probably whether the property's got parking or doesn't have parking, whether it's got a sofa bed in and doesn't have a sofa bed in. You know, there's so many variables that I just don't think a software like that can determine whether your property is going to be a success or not. And quite honestly, I don't think anything can really. I think one thing with serviced accommodation is it is a bit of trial and error, but by checking out a few things, you can certainly give yourself a lot more confidence that it will work. I'll give you a good example. I once got offered a property down in sort of a sleepy little village just outside of Durham, and it was to buy. The numbers worked well. I didn't want a tenant all the way down there. Just that's not what I'm after at the minute. So I went to look at it for a service accommodation opportunity. The deal worked as a BRR. Definitely, it was a refurbishment project. We could have got our money back out. We could have added another asset to the portfolio. But it didn't work for service accommodation. I even ran a dummy ad on Airbnb, and I got one inquiry in 2 weeks. And that was for a Christmas booking, and this was about 6-7 months ago. And, you know, for me, that just showed that it wouldn't work as a service accommodation unit, even though there was hotels around or not far away. There was a B&B around the corner, but, you know, it just, for me, I did what I do on all the other assets that we've acquired, and all the other units that we've acquired, and I didn't get the same feel for it. You know, I just didn't feel like it was going to be busy enough, so I didn't buy it in the end. So, you know, you've got to do what works for you, but you can obviously use these tools here that I'm about to show you and see if you can just, it's more of just a confidence booster. You know, do you feel that it's going to work? And I always think go with your gut. You know, I've kind of trusted that for a long time now, and both when I'm buying or renting, or even taking a block on to manage. If I don't feel that if something's just in my gut not working, then I just won't do it. So will there be demand for your serviced accommodation units? Our first checkpoint for me is hotels. So, you know, hotels go into a lot of research. They'll analyze demand. They will pay probably specialists before they even build these hotels or acquire the buildings to see if there is demand for accommodation in the area. So if your property's near a hotel, I'd say that's just a huge thumbs up, and you know, go for it. You know, there's so many people staying in hotels. If the hotels are busy, you know, especially if they're big chains, Holiday Inns, Village Hotels, Travel Inns, that sort of thing, they're the type of people that are going to jump into your accommodation. You know, if it's a, you know, Claridge's, you know, or a real fancy 5-star hotel, then, you know, the chances are those type of people aren't going to move into serviced accommodation units. You know, the type of people that do rent serviced accommodation are larger groups that want economies of scale in the pricing versus a hotel. Companies that, again, want to save money rather than, you know, paying huge hotel bills for all of the staff, you know, or traveling sales reps who might be on a budget and they, you know, get given a certain allocation a night, or, you know, and sometimes they can use it as an opportunity to click some extra income by renting a cheaper place. So, you know, I'm not saying we have to be cheap and cheerful, but that is predominantly the mindset of the people that will jump from a hotel into an Airbnb. So, you know, hotels, great sign. Check the hotels out, have a look at what their average nightly rate is. What are they charging and what do you get for that? Is that a twin room, sleeping 2 people? So you then divide that by 2, and that would be sort of your per person rate per night. I work on £30 per person for most of our units, and that for me works quite well, but that's in our area. It might be different in other areas, but if me and a group of friends were going away, there was 6 or 7 of us, would we all be comfortable paying £30 each to get a nice place, all stay under one roof? I'd say yes. Some people, I might stretch that. I might be more comfortable paying £50 or £60 and get a nicer place. And on the other side, there's groups of people that might not be able to even afford the £30, and they want somewhere around the £20. But hotels on average, even your travel lodges, you're looking at probably 60 to probably 80 to £90 a night for a twin room. So that's more than likely what you're going to be competing against on your nightly rate. How many hotels are nearby? So within a half a mile, within a mile, within a 2-mile radius, how many hotels are nearby? The more, the better. For me, it just shows that there's demand. As I've said before, these hotels do extensive research on whether they're going to get fully booked. They're a business at the end of the day. They don't want to build these fancy places, employ all the staff, set them up and not have the bookings. And any good hotel, I know the ones that sort of around our places that always seem to have traffic going in and out of them. We go and stalk the car parks for vans, so we know that there's people going in and out of these places. The car parks are full quite often. So, have a look on the map and just quickly Google map, drop where your place is, and just start having a look around and seeing what hotels there are. You can use Airbnb to research competitors. I'm going to show you on Airbnb in a second, but basically have a look at the 30-day calendar. Check out how many reviews they've had, so you can kind of see. And not everyone leaves a review, but Airbnb is quite good for getting reviews. But you can kind of see a timeline, and you can therefore see how occupied they are. You've obviously got to bear in mind that there's other channels as well. So you could, they're not always going to have, every single person staying from Airbnb, but it gives you a good feel. Again, work out what their average nightly rate is. And look at the number of competitors in the area. For me, number of competitors is a good sign, because it means that there's people wanting to book these places. It means there's demand there. All you've got to do is then offer a better product than the competitor. So just because there's loads of competition, I hear it all the time, the market's saturated. Well, it might be saturated, but if you're better than everybody else, then you're going to get the bookings over them. So I wouldn't worry about that. I just aim to be the best at what you do. So what we'll do here is we'll quickly jump and have a look at how you can use Airbnb to sort of research your competition. So first and foremost, just go to airbnb.co.uk. So you're looking at it as a guest looking to book. Obviously, I've preloaded this sort of Monday for a week, my location and sort of 4 guests. You might want to put in the number of guests, the same guests as sort of your accommodation offers. Click stays. So we have got, there's over 300 places to stay in Newcastle. Does that suggest that Airbnb or, service accommodation works in Newcastle? I would say so. Obviously, it works for us, so I know that, but that is a very good sign that it does work. And then obviously you've got all your listings. What I would do is just, let's just start clicking on a few and having a look through. So I'll load up a couple on here, just randomly pick a few. Okay, let these load up. So what we're going to look for first and foremost is if you scroll down, come on, load up. It's loading up, it's coming. So here we go. Scroll down, this is their diary. So this is the week that I put in. As you can see here, they're booked from the 22nd to the 8th. So, there's a solid, probably long-term booking in there, or short-term, medium-term. They've then got those days booked and those days booked. I wouldn't necessarily panic too much Let's have a look at the calendar going forward. You know, the empty for March. Honestly, I think at the minute in sort of the low season, we're looking at 30 days and out is I wouldn't worry about it. It's week by week at the minute. We'll get a lot of bookings on a Sunday night for the next week. So don't panic. And if you see sort of empty bookings like this, that's fine. That's a natural calendar. That most of our properties would look fairly similar. So but that shows you that this property is fairly well booked. It's fairly well booked. So they're charging an average of £77 a night. Service fees, obviously, what we get charged. They're not charging a cleaning fee. I am seeing more and more people doing this. I've done this from day one. I don't charge cleaning fees. I think it just, for me, it looks like it just looks like an extra charge, and it just, for me, it would put me off if I was trying to book. So I just roll the cleaning fee into this price here, and I just have a nightly price. So that has worked for us, So I would recommend doing that. So on average, this person's charging £77 for a 4-bed place. Got 140 reviews. So let's just have a look. So there was December, November, October, July. So there's a lot of reviews in there. There's not loads in, you see there, July, June. So it's getting 2 or 3 reviews a month. Let's just jump onto this one. A 1-bed apartment, sleeps 4 guests. So they've got bookings end of the month. We've got fairly available here. We've obviously got a few bookings in February, which is good. Charging on average £58 a night. There's a long stay discount. Then doesn't look like they're charging a cleaning fee either. 64 reviews. What you can do is, if you go to the very first review on the very first page, so their first review was in June 2004. So they've had 64 people review their place since 2014. It's, for me, that's not that many. I'd like to think I had a lot more than that. But you never know whether there's been a gap there between renting it out. They have had, May, July, August, September, November. So, there's people staying. If you have a quick look at that advert, it's, for me, it's not the most striking place in the world. It's a 1-bed flat, sleeping 4 people, in one of the high-rise tower blocks in town. I think there's probably better properties out there to rent. 6 guests, 2 bedrooms, 4 beds. This looks a bit of a nicer place. Let's have a look. January, not very booked out. They've got 1 week in Feb booked out. £67 a night. Charging £90 times 6 nights for this booking. So on average, 61 reviews. November. So they were pretty busy in November. August, July. Just see when this one, again, 2014 sort of started. Okay, so let's go again. I like this. I do this on our adverts. Add little emojis in. It just makes, let's just have a look at the titles. You see, titles, and then you've got these little emojis. I'll put hearts in here. I'll put all sorts in ours. What you can get away with. You cannot do it direct from on Airbnb when you're setting your property up. You've got to feed it from a channel manager. But if you can get your emojis in, it makes them stand out, and it bypasses the algorithm on Airbnb. So these are £74 a night plus a cleaning fee of £50. I mean, I'd come back to cleaning fee. I would just turn off with that. Honestly, I would. I'd just see that as a big turn off for me, is having to pay £50 for someone to clean a property when I'm going to pay £74 a night. I'd rather see that, say, £99 a night. It's just a mindset thing, and it might just be my personal sort of feeling on that, but make your own decision on it. For me, it is a turn off. Couple of bookings Monday, Tuesday, booking at the end, booking in February, couple here and there. Again, 13 reviews. See when they've been going. Tells us November, October. Looks like they've only been going since September 2019. So they've got 13 reviews. I would say your reviews are probably half the people that have stayed, and that's only on one channel. So if you assume there's been 26 bookings through Airbnb since September, and then you've probably got the same again on another channel. So, you know, there might have been sort of 50-ish, 55 people staying in this property over there since September. You know, that's not bad at all. You know, we look for sort of 10 to 12 turns a month. You know, 10 to 12 turns per booking. Looks like a lovely place. So that's kind of how I use Airbnb to have a look at it. I look at people's calendars. I look at you know, the diaries. I look at the reviews. And then I check the pricing out as well. So from that, you can gauge what you're going to need to charge to be competitive. You know, from these examples here, for 4 people, you're looking at anywhere from sort of probably 60 to 80 pounds a night, maybe 85 pounds a night, and that's for a week-long booking. What you can also do is just sort of see what they're charging for the weekend. If you're in like a weekend area, see they're jumped up. So these are charging £99 for the weekend. They're charging £130 a night for the weekend. You know, we do charge a lot different from weekday to weekend. Obviously, Newcastle's a good place for the weekend, so you know, you might as well try and maximise it. So we do charge or increase the rates for the weekend. I'll just do this last one. It's a bit pain, but £75. So they stay fairly consistent on that. They stay the same. Let's have a look at this. You know, these are all just real good ways to give you the confidence. That's all this is about. This, you know, you're never going to get everything right. £100 a night for 2 nights, 4-bedder. Now, we charge about £125 for our 4-bed places on the weekend. Sometimes more. It depends on the location. So, but you know, all these are pretty city centre by the looks of it. So that's what you're competing against. Obviously, the rates go up in the summer. But that's how you can use Airbnb to give you a good idea whether you want to take the place on, whether it's going to work as a service accommodation unit, or whether you need to flip the strategy and, you know, think of a different rental strategy. Dummy adverts, I mentioned this before, and it's a great way to really let you know if your place is going to work or not. I've done this quite a few times. So just if you haven't got any pictures of the place, I tend to do this when I'm refurbing a bigger place and I want to know whether to run it as a HMO or a service accommodation unit. So I'll put some pictures on that might match. Sometimes I just use pictures, a combination of pictures from some of the properties that we've already got set up, or I might just jump on Google Images and just, you know, search similar images to what I think the place is going to look like. Because sometimes you might get a booking and you might want to take that booking, so you still want to try and have it. You know, if you got a 2-week booking that was worth a lot of money to you, all of a sudden you'd think, oh, well, by the time I finish the refurb, I'm going to have that booking. I might as well accept that. And you might want to take the booking. So always try and make the pictures match similar to how you're going to sort of theme the house. Set it to pre-approval only. This means that no one can instantly book, and therefore you won't get caught short-sighted having to cancel bookings. Every single inquiry has to be made to book. This does probably limit the number of people that do inquire. So if you're getting inquiries on a pre-approval status, then you can hedge your bets and say that the property is going to work when it's fully set up, when you're on instant book. Test it for a few weeks, give it a good couple of weeks to run through. Respond to the inquiries just like you would. Get a feel for who wants to book, what they're staying for, you know, pick their brains, ask the questions. And, you know, again, it's just all building your confidence in whether the property is going to work, whether you're going to attract the right type of people through your property, you know, and it just helps you understand the demographic of the guest. So this is a great way. It does delay you slightly. Obviously, it sets you back a couple of weeks, but spending a couple of weeks doing it is much better than making a mistake on a property that's going to lose you money each month and cause you a lot of problems. So, you know, it's a great way. I do it all the time. If we're ever unsure and we just haven't got that extra bit of confidence that we need before pulling the trigger, agreeing a deal, I might just run a dummy ad and see how it plays out. Few more positive signs that your place will work. If you've got any sporting teams in the area, obviously we've got Newcastle United, we've got St James's Park. It's a huge attraction. You know, during the football season, every other weekend we've got an away team staying with us, which probably have 5,000 travelling fans. We get a lot of the football traffic through our sort of places close to St James's Park, especially the ones within walking distance. You know, huge help to your city and your business will be, you know, big stadiums with sporting teams. In the summer months, you know, we have various things on at St James's Park. I know we've got I believe it's the Rugby League final again. We had the European Cup rugby last year. All these events really boost your profits. I love seeing it when we get the events on at St James's Park, concerts, things like that, because it just boosts our profits in all the units. One day, where would it be 3-4 months ago now, when that Rugby League sporting event was announced, all of our places got booked within 35 minutes. And I kid you not, every single one of them booked. You know, the notifications were going crazy. I actually didn't know what it was. I didn't know. I knew something must have just been released, but within 35-40 minutes, every single place was booked. You can get hotel future reports. So these are specialist reports. You can download them online. Most of them are free. These are where people are actually paid to analyze cities and analyze the viability of more hotels in the cities, the traveling influx of visitors from various places into the cities. They're good reports, you know, they're sometimes 10, 15, 20-page documents, but, you know, have a read of them. They tell you what's going on. They give you some in-depth of, you know, will your property not only work now, but is it going to also work in the future? You know, so these reports are really good. You can, if you just do a quick Google search, you can normally find them. If any new projects or developments are announced, you know, big companies coming to the area, you know, if Amazon was to, you know, build a new factory in the area, you know, that's going to need some infrastructure to set up. You know, if we've had 2 big road developments go on recently, and you know, one's still ongoing, we get a lot of people staying in our places coming up to do that. If there's any big buildings getting built in town or anything like that, there will be contractors from outside the area coming to work on those projects, and ultimately they'll need places to stay. And the good thing is they'll need places to stay every week for quite some time. So, you know, they're great signs that your places will work. Hospitals, you know, as horrible as it is, you know, people do end up in hospitals that are nowhere near the home, and they get stuck and they need places to stay. Sometimes the government supports them, sometimes they don't. But, you know, if your places are near hospitals, especially specialist hospitals, like we've got a really good heart unit at one of our hospitals up here. And, you know, a lot of people come to the RVI in Newcastle as well. And, you know, we get a lot of people staying, and they might need regular stays. They might have to come back down for treatment quite often. So hospitals are a good sign. Universities, you'd be surprised how many people, you know, actually come and visit. So especially around graduations, you know, they bring everybody, the gran, the granny, the granddad, you know, the aunt, the uncle, everybody comes to stay. And, you know, if you've got bigger places, this is where you can really capitalize. But, you know, even just coming up to see the kids, you know, that they've gone off to university, and, you know, mum and dad come to stay for the weekend, you know, they might rent a place and have the kids come out of their uni accommodation and come and stay with them. And, you know, in your home can be a great place for that, rather than having to sort of go into a hotel room. You know, let's be honest, no 18 to 21-year-old wants to share a hotel room with mum or dad. So, you know, this is another great sign that your place will work if you've got some good universities around you. You know, and typically any city with or a town with a larger population than 110,000 people, I think will work. You know, if there's a lot going on and you've got a large population, you know, it means that there's businesses in that town feeding that population, and therefore, you know, they will have people coming to visit them to pitch their other businesses, or, you know, traveling sales reps, or, you know, it just anything with a large population for me means that you've got a good chance of succeeding if you set yourself up right. So that's it. Hopefully that's helped. Hopefully you can, you know, use these strategies and these little tools to try and give you a bit of confidence as to whether, you know, your particular unit's going to work, and whether you should put a deal together, whether you should turn it into a serviced accommodation unit if it's not already. As always, any questions, hit us up on the email address, and I'll see you on the next course.